houses and wealth, houses and riches, our parents can bequeath them to us through a will. And when it comes to a husband, a wife, a life partner, our Father in heaven, the Almighty God, is the one who chooses for us. The question is, how does he do it? The fact of the matter is that, my brothers and sisters listening to me tonight, it is becoming a challenge, especially our ladies, to find gentlemen in the church to marry. Not that there are no gentlemen, but some of you ladies do make mistakes, and some of our guys who are also not converted play games with our ladies, and as a result of that, when they are able to get what they want from you, they are not interested again in you, and they go ahead to look for another person. In my career over the years, I've had questions, emails, WhatsApp messages. I just wanted to pull some few for you to look at. Somebody sent this to me some years ago. Pastor, you are close to God. I'm sure he listens to pastors more than some of us. I need a husband this year. Tell God for me. And this is seriously a desperate lady who has stayed in the church for long years and nobody is coming. Another person says, why are men like that? They promise, and after they've gotten what they want, they leave. Pastor, why can't men be men? That was what I was alluding to earlier on. Brothers, if you are not ready to marry the sister, don't sleep with her. Aside the fact that it is sin to do premarital, that kind of thing, you are also not being fair. So this lady has gone through that experience of somebody doing it and the person refusing to marry her. And then there is this one. We have 5 ladies. None of us is married. I am the youngest. If money can buy marriage, we would have been married by now. Pastor, what is wrong with me? Why am I not married? Are we under curse or something? You are not under curse. Sometimes God may decide to delay. There are times he may decide to come a bit earlier. My point of raising these questions and these emails that I've received from people is to let you know that just pray to God, just connect with God, just make sure that you have an experiential relationship with God, not just being an SDA church member or any church you attend and you join us tonight. Make sure God is your Father indeed experientially. When it's time for you, he will come through for you. I've officiated a wedding when the lady was 43 years. As I speak to you now, she had twins and she's happy. She's decided that no man will see my nakedness until I am married. And she stayed in the church. People laughed at her and all that. She didn't mind. 43 years, father came and the man came to marry her. Now she had the twins. So my point is, if we are patient enough to wait, Daddy will by all means show up. Psalm 25, verse number 9 says, Daddy leads the humble, experiential relationship, the humble that in what is right and teaches the humble his way. There are basically 4 main ways he does lead. Father lead in choosing husband and wife for his children. Number 1, we call it physical signs. Physical signs, you do that through prayer. In Genesis chapter number 24, verses 12 to 16, Abraham sent his servant Eliezer to go and find a wife for his son Isaac. Bible says, then he said, he prayed and covenanted with God, asked God to show him a physical sign. That's what I mean. Then Eliezer prayed and said, oh Lord God of my master Abraham, please give me success this day and show kindness to my master Abraham. Behold, here I stand by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Now let it be that a young woman to whom I say, please let down your pitcher that I may drink. And she says, drink, and I will also give your camels a drink. Let her be the one you have appointed for your servant Isaac. And by this I will know that you have shown kindness to my master. And it happened before he had finished speaking. In other words, he had finished praying, that behold, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with a pitcher on her shoulder. Now the young woman was very beautiful to behold, a virgin. No man had known her, and she went down and to the well and filled her pitcher and came. Pastor, what's your point? My point is simply this: you can talk to God. If Elizabeth, if Samuel, if Alvan is my husband, is my wife, Father, let A, B, C, D happen. And our Father is a prayer answering God. He will be able to do that. He does that. I can tell you, if you get my book, In Search of a Marriage Partner, that's how I got my wife. I entered into a covenant with God, and my wife entered into a covenant with God. I did, but hers was answered. Ask God for specific things that should happen for the man that she wanted to marry. And true, it happened. So you can pray covenant with God. If the man I want to marry, the woman I want to marry, Father, if he's the one, let A, B, C, D happen. Like Eliezer did, God do answer that kind of prayer. He can make that happen. There's no time. I would have shared with you a story of a close pastor friend of mine. He went that way and God answered exactly that. Then there is what we call theophanic. That one, God can reveal the person to you in dream, in vision, or can speak the person's name in your ears, either by a loud voice or by a still small voice. So it can be vision, it can be dream, it can be the mentioning or pronouncing of the person's name, or showing the person's picture in a dream. It happens in the story of Hosea chapter 1, verse number 2 and 3, where God told the prophet to go and marry Gomer. You know that story, so I'll not belabor on it. And then God also, number 3, chooses for his sons and daughters through godly people in your life. I said godly people, people who have experiential relationship with God. So, for example, Moses got Zipporah through Moses' father, priest, the priest of that area. So God can let somebody propose a lady to you, or God can make somebody suggest a gentleman to you. The way I look at you, I think that you and Rebecca can be good couple in future. Pray about it, think about it. If the person keeps on telling you from time to time, don't joke with it. Begin to go to God in prayer. Father, if we are meant to be, connect us in your own way, and God will surely listen. He normally also do that. So like I said, Exodus chapter 2, verse 21. Then Moses was content to live with a man. He gave Zipporah his daughter to Moses. Finally, apart from you praying and covenanting with God for physical signs to happen, apart from God doing it theophanically, either vision, dreams, etc., apart from God through somebody suggesting somebody to you, our parents are also a source through which God gives us spouses. You know, yesterday I think I mentioned it. In the olden days, before you marry, your mom, your dad would do a don't just straight away reject it. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Don't forget, Daddy says, ask me. If it's not a person, the love between the two of you will automatically die. But if that individual is the person, the love will grow. So when our parents make suggestions to us, I'm not saying straight away accept it, but pray about it. Don't just reject it. God can use our godly parents to also get us a spouse. Having said all these 4 ways that God uses to get us husbands and wives, let me also make the point that singleness is also in the divine plan. Not all of us are going to get married. That you should put it in your head. The Bible is clear about that some people are not going to get married. And those people who are not going to get married, they know themselves. They don't even have a feeling or a thought about marriage at all. God created them, if you please, so to say. In Matthew 19, verse 12, I think Jesus was speaking. He says, well, there are eunuchs who were born thus from their mother's womb, and there are eunuchs who were made eunuchs by men, and there are eunuchs who have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. You remember Paul the apostle said, looking at the present circumstances and what is happening, he wished that everybody remained unmarried like him in those days. So clearly, there are people who are not going to get married. So it's in as much as marriage is in the divine plan. My point is singleness is also in the divine plan. If God decides not to, please just make sure you work on your salvation and make it. Yesterday, I showed this picture again to our ladies. When it comes to childbirth and marriage, there's an expiry date. Those of you pursuing PhDs and master's degrees, and you've made up your mind that until I finish my PhD, there's nothing going to be marriage. Please be advised. If you want to marry, you can marry and still go to school. You look at the pyramid and look at where you are and think about it. If you really want to marry and somebody is serious and you prayed about it, the two of you are compatible and you think that the two of you can make life, please don't use education as an excuse. You can still marry and go to school. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Having said that, let me make this point. As a pastor, we are not working or fighting against flesh and blood. Demons can also frustrate you. That is real. Paul has made it clear. If you are not in touch with God, if you are not somebody who has experiential relationship with him and you play with SDA, you play with Christianity, the kingdom of darkness can destroy you, can make sure they will never, ever allow you to marry. In my experience, has happened to so many people. Demonic forces are real, curses are real, spells are real. They can cause serious havoc to your life if you are not connected. So having said these few things, let me end it here and then we'll launch to our topic for today. I'll take questions on this when we are done. Like my senior brother said yesterday, that yesterday was for the singles. I decided that today let's do something that will also cover a bit of the married and of course the singles as well. When you marry, how to make your Christian home a little heaven on that. A little heaven on that. You can write this statement down. A man builds a house, a woman makes a home. It is the responsibility of the man to either rent an apartment or build a house, but to make it a home, it is the responsibility of a woman. Somebody may ask, what is a home? It has a whole lot of definition. We'll not go into that, but a man put up the physical structure or rent the physical structure. Whatever goes on in the house to make the house a little heaven on earth, it is the responsibility of the woman. Ellen White has said in Christian Home that the keys to the marriage, the keys to the success of marriage is in the hands of a woman. So women, you have much responsibility when it comes to home life of you and your husband and your children. Successful marriages doesn't just happen as you prepare to enter, and those of you who have already entered. Successful marriages, peaceful marriages just doesn't happen. It calls for investment. Pastor, what kind of investment? Investment of time, investment of sacrifice, investment of forgiveness, investment of provision, investment of satisfaction of needs, and of course, the God factor. When you see that there's a family that are so closely knit, they seem to be happy, they go about, everybody, when you go to their house, you feel comfortable, etc. It did not just happen. A whole lot of investment has gone on or is going on. So as you prepare to get married, don't think that as soon as you get married to an SDA or an Adventist, as you say, automatically the two of you are Christians, the two of you are members of God's church, therefore the home is going. No. There are so many Adventists who have married, and if God should say now, those who have married, you can divorce your wife or your husband, many of our members will walk away from their spouses. It takes sacrifice, it takes time, it takes forgiveness, it takes a lot of investment to make a house a home and to enjoy marriage. Please never forget that as you prepare to enter the marriage, or those who have already prepared. There is only one thing we call the marriage priority order. If you want the home to be peaceful, you must follow this order in terms of priority, in terms of the attention you give in the home. So for example, it's on the screen as you can see, the marriage priority order. If you change it, you create problems in your home. You must follow it. If you are married and you never knew, please begin to follow. Things will change. Those who are preparing when you marry, follow, things will change. Number one, in terms of priority, in terms of attention, in terms of time, God is number one. He owns us. We are his. And then if we're a man, your wife. If you're a woman, your husband. Your children is third in terms of priority. In other words, anybody who gives much time and attention and affection to his children more than his wife or husband, you create problems in the house. So God first, then your spouse comes second, then your children come third, your job is fourth. Some people are married to their work. It is wrong. If you practice that in your marriage, singles who are preparing to get married, you create problems in your house. Those who have married, if you are married to your job, if you love your children more than you love your husband or your wife, you are creating problem. You must follow the order of priority. Very, very important. So God, spouse, children, vocation, then your extended family. There are some guys, there are some ladies who are still, after they are married, they are still tied to their parents and pull string. It is wrong. So they are 5 on the ladder, then your friends, and then selflessness calls for you to be the last. So when you give attention to the top, you yourself last, automatically, it has been proven time and time again. You will be able to get God, you'll be able to get your spouse, you'll be able to get your children, your vocation will be preserved, your extended family, you don't have issues with them, your husband or your wife will not have issues with the in-laws, your friends will love you, they will be around, whatever you need support, they will. And then you yourself, you'll be the last person of priority. So the husband becomes the priority of the wife becomes the priority of the husband. Let me share with you 5 red lights of men that every woman should know, and then you work on it to manage it. It is with every man. 99% of men have that red light. And ladies, this is for you. You need to know this, and then you need to know how to manage it so that it doesn't become a problem. Because if you're unable to control it, if you're not able to, so to speak, put water on it to quench it, it will by all means create problems in your marriage. I call it 5 red lights of men. Number 1 is hunger. Hunger. You have said several times the way to a man's heart is through food. These days, it's not only through food. I'll come to the other one. It's through food and through good sex. You have to manage a man's hunger. The way to a man's heart, you've heard it severally said, is through good food and also through good sex. So I suggest, as you prepare to marry and those who have married, let your husband eat at home. As much as possible, let him not be eating at restaurant. Prepare his favorite dish or meal for him and be responsible for his meals. If you have made servants, don't let them be cooking for your husband. Please, he married you. Please, as much as possible, be responsible for his meal, provided the way he wants it. Let him eat at home, and then make sure you ask him his favorite and prepare it. There are some households, they have many already there, but still our advice, our sisters, based on experience, even though you may have many on the wall, try as much as possible that you ask him before you prepare. Men have hunger problem. If you don't quench it, you start eating some people's food. And by eating some people's, if that individual or that lady's food is so to be more sumptuous than yours, attention will go there. So sisters, take note. Another one is wealth, money. Every man wants it, because no man wants to be a failure. So how do I manage that one, Pastor? If you marry, and if you have already married, know each other's source of income, very, very important. Be content with what your husband has. Be content with what your wife brings home. Don't demand capriciously. Too many women demand, and I want this, and I saw my friend having this, so I need that, etc. No, we put pressure on the man. He may use other bad means to get money, and then you plan your finances and projects together. Budget, budget, budget. So number 1, hunger. Number 2, talk about managing wealth is a red light. If there's no money in a man's pocket, he doesn't think straight. So please help him plan your income, your budget together. Don't demand too much, and of course, know each other's source of income. Number 3 is anger, managing anger. When you put the word D in front of anger, it becomes danger. So every man has some level of anger that when it is not managed well, they can be callous. So sisters, avoid as you are preparing to marry or when you are in marriage, try to avoid what I call anger triggers or provocations or arguments. And then pray about it constantly because it is something with men. And then from time to time, talk about it. What are the things that I do that makes you uncomfortable, that provoke or bring that kind of animal in you and all that? You need to discuss it from time to time. Men have anger problem. And when it gets worse, it becomes dangerous. They can do all kinds of, excuse me for my language, stupid things. Number 4 is lust. Is lust. Question: why did Jesus say, if a man looks at a woman and lusts after her, that man has committed adultery? But Jesus did not mention a woman. God created us sexual beings. Our hormones, our feelings, our everything is wired highly around sex, if you allow me to say so. So sisters, as you prepare to marry, and those who have married, please, you need to manage your men. I am not saying that all men, but you can get 90% of men that when it comes to lovemaking, when it comes to sex, it's a priority highly on their agenda. In fact, I read an article a couple of weeks ago and it says that every 5 seconds, sexual thoughts run through the average man's mind. So how do I manage that, pastor, when I'm married or if I'm already in marriage? You need to constantly pray to God to control by the Holy Spirit your husband, that he will not go and cheat on you. Prayer works. God has power to tame a man. So please pray for him always. Number 2, make sure you satisfy him very well at home. Do your best. Don't be those kind of women that if you don't give me this, I will not do that. We call something spiritual adultery. Any man or any woman, if you are not sick, and my sisters, if it's not that time of the month, and you refuse to grant to your husband his desire for sex, in the records of heaven, it is recorded against you that you've committed what we call spiritual adultery. So satisfy your man very well. We are managing that 5 red light called lust. Please satisfy him very well. Improve communication. Make sure nobody come between you and your husband, especially women. Be his closest friend. Talk, communicate, speak, make time to sit and talk, travel together as much as possible. Be accountable to each other. Be accountable to each other. So it's a man's responsibility if you want to be helped, and I believe our brothers are willing to be helped. Anything that you realize that is threatening your lust, please quickly inform your wife. Please quickly inform her so that she will be able to not only pray, find a way to also improve herself. Let me quickly add this to it. Sisters, men do what they see, and you do what you hear and the touches. Since men do what we see, I want to add that you improve your looks a bit. Don't be like Jezebel, but you're dressing in the house, especially when the two of you are alone, those kinds of dressing, you understand. And then your body, you should keep it in shape. When he was marrying you, you look at this. That is what attracted him. Now you've been married for 1-2 years, you look differently. No, make sure you keep your body in shape, and also you wear clothing and etc. That will be very well appealing, very, very important. Number 5, which is the last one for the men. Women, try to manage in your marriage when you do marry, or if you're already in marriage, is relationship with family and relatives. Men and their families are always tied. They are always together. It takes some few men who are able to, so to speak, when they marry, decouple themselves from their family. So as a woman, when you get into marriage, or if you're already in marriage, discuss the role of your in-laws and then stick with that with your husband. How do you want me to treat your in-law, your parents, your sisters, your brothers? Don't be the woman who says, well, as long as I'm married to you, none of your family members will come to our home. I determine when we go and visit them, I determine how much you give to them, etc. No, you create problem. Discuss with your husband, sit down with him, talk about it. How do you want me to treat them? How do you want me to handle them? Number 2, try to live peaceably with them. Don't forget, yesterday we mentioned it. Today I'm saying that in Africa in particular, we marry a family, we don't marry the individual. Your in-laws can destroy your marriage if you don't have a good relationship with them. So since the man is always almost tied to his family, please discuss your role in his family life and then live peaceably with your in-laws. And then periodically visit and remit them. When they see that you care about them, they will also care about you. It's very, very important. His and her needs you should know quickly. Respect sisters, men's needs you should know. The need of your husband to be or the man you are married that you should know. Men interpret love with respect. In fact, there's nowhere in the Bible that women should love men. It is men that were enjoined to love women. But men interpret respect as love. It is the need of every man to respect him. Sisters, please, respect to men is so key to us. And that is why Ephesians, the Bible says, Ephesians 5:33, nevertheless, let each one of you in particular so love his own wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband. So, Pastor, how do I do or go about the respect? Number one, hold him in high esteem in and out of your house. Number two, you must have what I call Peter's wife principle. He must increase, I must decrease. Never ever project yourself above your husband. It is not appropriate. There should be special seats in your house. There should be special items in your house that's exclusively bought for your husband. There's a seat in the house that only where your husband sits. There are some ways that's what you serve your husband food in. Certain special things. Treat him as a king in his own house. It's going to help. Special services, like I said, treat him as a king. Number two, admiration is a need. Admire the man for what he does and what he doesn't do. Speak well of him to others. And like we women are very romantic, most of the time than men, you can write him a note, you can send him a WhatsApp message telling him how grateful you are for the support he gave you, etc., etc. Time is going, so let me run so that I can talk a bit about the ladies. Love making is another one, very, very important. We mentioned some of them a couple of minutes ago. 1 Corinthians 7:3-5, Paul, the apostle said, let a husband render to his wife the affection due her. Likewise, also the wife to her husband the affection. The husband does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. And the wife, likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Paul says, don't deprive. That's why I said spiritual adultery. Don't deprive one another except with consent for a time that you both may give yourself to fasting and prayer and come again so that Satan does not tempt you because of a lack of self-control. Number 5 is need good food. We talked about it a while ago. I just want to place emphasis. Good food. Ask him of his favorite and prepare. Sisters, there's absolutely nothing wrong if you don't know how to prepare a particular dish to ask him if you know how to do it, to teach you how it is done, or to read a book about it, or to ask somebody, or probably his mother. There's nothing wrong. Oh, Jeff is telling me he liked the way you prepare a to when he was with you. Mommy, can you teach me how you do it so that I can do it better for him? Absolutely, there's nothing, there's no shame about it. So ask and do that. It is a need of men. And then cleanliness, clean woman, clean house, clean everything. Debt is synonymous with witchcraft. Every man, and I believe every woman, wants clean things. Is a need of man. Ladies, please know. And of course, a godly woman, every man wants a godly woman, every woman wants a godly man. Because of time, let me rush a bit. Failure to meet all these needs, you're going to have what we call the couch syndrome. When he comes home, sometimes he's unwilling to climb to the bed to sleep on the bed with you. He may prefer to sleep in the couch. Infidelity is likely to happen because his needs are not being met. He's likely to play outside. There's likely to be spousal abuse, unwillingness to come home after work early. He will prefer to hang out with the boys or stay home because there's no happiness at home. But when all that we have said, we're able to meet it, the man is likely to come. And don't forget, some Adventists have started drinking. If you're not careful, he takes into drinking, all kinds of accident and untimely death. It affects prayer life, etc., etc. Let me quickly talk about the ladies. Men, brothers, please listen to me. It is so important for me. We need to know how God has wired them. God has wired our sisters differently from us. They have much stronger immune system than us. They have the ability, strong ability to bear pain and stress more than men. That's how God created them. And they have great resistance to heart disease during childbirth than us. Women are special. I am not just praising them. God took his time to create or design them. And we need to also know their needs and meet it so that there will be peace at home. So while they work on us to meet our needs, we must also know what they want and then be able to meet it. Then there will be peace at home. Like I said earlier on, there is nowhere in scripture where you find a verse that says women should love men. No, it is rather men that are supposed to love women. Love is one of the major needs of every woman. And in marriage, love is spelled T-I-M-E, time. They need your time. They need my time for us to talk. God created them communicating beings. They love to talk. They love to listen. They love to hear. So love to women is time. Make time for them. It is their number one need. Make time to talk. Make time to be together. Make time to go for a stroll. Make time to go for vacation. Make time to tell her things that you want to hear. Very, very important. Like I said, Paul said it. We should love them. Number two, appreciation. We need appreciation. They also need appreciation. Admire her for the dress she wore. Admire her for her hair. Admire her or appreciate her for the beauty. Admire her for how she looks. If you appreciate somebody outside the house, whilst your wife, you did not appreciate her, you make her angry. So always how she looks, what she does in the house, the cleanliness she's putting up, etc., etc. They want to hear you say, thank you, darling. Thank you for this. Thank you for how you look. Thank you for that. Even to the extent that when she makes love to you and you enjoy it, you should be able to thank your wife for that. Solomon, the wisest man ever lived, you know some of his wives. Solomon, say Songs of Solomon, verse 1, chapter 1, verse 15. Solomon wrote, behold, you are fair, my love. Behold, you are fair. You have dark eyes. They want to see this text message or WhatsApp message. They want to see this written. Today is vows day. If you have married, they want to hear you say this thing. I love you in a woman's ears. It's like music. They can hear it 50,000 times a day and they will never, ever be, it will never, ever be enough for them. So they want to hear. So please make time for them. This, I love you. You are beautiful. Thank you for being there always for me. It is something that they want to hear. When you say it as appreciation, you are showing to them. Financial security. Brothers, that is why we need to work hard and be able to provide for them. No woman wants to marry a poor man. No woman. But let me also say that if the two of you meet and you work and build it together, it is also the best. You don't have to marry somebody who has already made it. He is likely to make you, so to speak, a slave or a maidservant. If you build together, fine. But my point is, brothers, our sisters want to be secured financially. And therefore, before you attempt to marry her, be sure that you can take care of her need to a large extent. Is very, very important. Affection, not sex. Few women are sex crazed. More women are affection crazed. Affection means let everybody know that I'm your woman. Hold my hands. Lay your hands around my waist. Let's work together. Let me sit by you. Let me put my head on you. They want you to show it, either in public or in private, for people to know that she is the queen. Not necessarily about love, but affection. We need to show that to our ladies. So casual hand holding, intimate hugging and kissing, and the ultimate is loving. The first two, holding hands, lay your hands at her back or around her shoulders, hugging, intimate kissing, etc. These things, they appreciate it so much. One thing that has begun to win in our church is spiritual leadership in Adventist home. Our women want the men to lead the home as spiritual leaders. Any woman who has a spiritual leader is so proud of her husband. So brothers, let us develop our spirituality to the extent that women will not lead a house when it comes to devotions, when it comes to worship, but we will be in charge. Women want their men to be in charge when it comes to almost everything, especially spiritual leadership. Please, let us be in charge. Let us take charge of the house, worship, etc. Raising the children in the fear of the Lord. Let us not leave it. There is no excuse for not, as a father of the house, a husband, leading worship or spiritual activities in the house. Their events and their anniversaries, never forget it. They remember dates. We don't remember. A couple of 2 years ago, my birthday, I even forgot. She has to remind me that today is your birthday. Have you forgotten? When you forget their dates and their anniversary special ones, you put yourself in trouble. Brothers, let's not forget. So let's date them now. We have smartphones. You can save the dates a week ahead, 3 days to time, so that you remember. Their dates and their anniversaries, never joke with it. It is a need for them. One thing that they need is for us to be honest with them and open with them. Any woman will die for a man who does not keep secrets, who is so honest and plain. Sweetheart, I went to work today, and guess what happened? There was a lady who is trying to seduce me in the office. She wants you to tell her before it gets worse. Everything, just open up to her, and you can sleep and you will snore. You don't have any issue. But once you see that you are keeping secret, of course, there are some office secrets that you may keep. But my point is simply this: women want honest and open men. So let us, as we prepare to marriage, and as already we are in marriage, let us be open. Let your wife, what is wrong for your wife to have your mobile phone PIN or pattern or password? What's wrong with that? What is wrong with your woman having your bank account details, your account number? What is wrong with your wife? I'm going deep. What is wrong with your wife even teaching your wife how to sign your signature in case you are not there? There's the need for them to withdraw money. Your APM thing, your ATM pin, your mobile money pin, etc. My wife has all these things because I don't know when I'm going to die. And when I am passed, when I go, she should be able to have access to all that we have built together. When they see that you are that kind of open and close to them, honest with them, there is absolutely nothing that they also hide from you. And obviously, their love for you, the threshold goes a bit up. And so let's try to be open and honest with them. Support at home if you can, and not that if you can, you should from time to time. While she's in the kitchen, you are doing a kind of things, cleaning in the sitting room or living room. You help here, you help there. Once a while on Sunday, you go with her together to the kitchen while she is grinding something, you are cutting something, you are talking, because communication is so important to them. When you do these things, you build a peaceful home. But when we fail to meet these needs of the ladies, we create a problem. In conclusion, so that we answer our questions, I spent 45 minutes. My point is simply this. I said it earlier on. Ellen White says in the book Christian Home, the key to the happiness and peace of a home is in the hands of a woman. A man builds the house. It takes a woman to turn it into a home. Let us not forget, Satan hates successful marriages. And after all these things that you have heard, the two of you should be so prayerful. Let not the pressures of life prevent the two of you from holding hands together every morning, every evening, beside your bed to pray. You must pray together. You must improve your communication. You must do whatever the two of you have to do to meet each other's needs so that there will be peace at home. Let me end by saying that there is no perfect or problem-free marriage in the world. It's simply because I am not perfect, you are not perfect. Two imperfect people meeting together doesn't make them perfect. There will always be challenges, there will always be problems, but the two of you should be matured enough when it happens. You don't solve it with emotions, you solve it with reason. Let's sit down and talk about it. Let's sit down and discuss it before you go ahead. Every marriage has its problem and its challenges. Don't run away from it. When it comes, work together. Always, it is God plus the husband plus the wife that makes an ideal home. When the God factor is not there, you have a problem. Husband and wife alone cannot make a home. Always the inventor or the creator of marriage must be present. And these things that we talk about, if we're able to do them, angels will be there, Jesus himself will be there. The Father will visit from time to time. I end by reminding us that we have a home to go. Paul says our citizenship is not here, it's in heaven. Jesus is coming. Those of you who are married, I am imploring you, do whatever you can to make sure your wife, your husband, your children will make it when Jesus appears. Do whatever you can to get every member there. Those of you who are preparing to marry, make up your mind as soon as you get married, your wife, your husband, the two of you, make it one of your commitment that you work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, so that appearing of Jesus, you'll be there. I want to thank you for your time this evening. I think I rushed a bit today, but because there was much time, much things to cover. It is my prayer that those who are preparing, God will lead you to the right people. And those who are already in it, you also do all that you can to make your home a little heaven on earth by doing what we just said. May God richly bless you, and I'm grateful for your invitation. Thank you so much.
Amen.